If you're a mom, you're a superhero. That's right. Own it. We possess a unique superpower of intuition, a sixth sense for what our kids are up to, how they feel, what they want, and when they want it. Yep, it's amazing. I call this mom sense. Oftentimes, we are Googling for answers, joining Facebook groups, or relegating to taking unsolicited advice from our friends when all we have to do is listen to that voice inside us. No, not the one that's telling you you're fat. The other voice, the one that seems to know everything when it comes to your kids and leaves you feeling confident, empowered, purposeful, and all things #mom goals. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta, and I'm a mother of twin toddlers and a baby, double the fun plus one. And I can honestly say that now that I'm a mom, I feel like my life is just getting started. On my podcast, I interview industry experts and real-life mamas on their mom sense experiences, tackling topics like how to teach kids to meditate, what it takes to have the marriage you've always dreamed of, and how to master your car makeup routine. Grab your latte, that's probably ice cold by now, and take a listen to That's Total Mom Sense. So when you think of tissues, you think of Kleenex. When you think of photocopies, you think Xerox. And when you think baby swaddle blankets, it's Aden and anais, hands down. These companies have dominated the market share and have essentially become synonymous with the products that they provide. And I am so honored to have with me the powerhouse behind the iconic baby lifestyle brand. She's a serial entrepreneur, author, wife, mother to 4 daughters, and thought leader, Raegan Moya-Jones. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So Raegan Moya-Jones is the CEO and co-founder of Aden and anais. She founded the company with an initial investment of $15,000 in startup capital in 2003 and grew it to a $100 million business. The company sells over 2,000 products in 68 countries and has clients like Beyonce, Jennifer Garner, DJ Khaled, Neil Patrick Harris, and the Duchess of Cambridge, to name a few. Raegan was named an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2014, and Aden and anais was named to the Crain's New York Business Fast 50 list for 3 consecutive years and was recognized for a 338% growth rate and reported revenue of $41.7 million in 2013. Raegan most recently co-founded St. Luna, a premium moonshine brand. She sits on the board of directors for Hopeland, a nonprofit created to pioneer innovative solutions and build new partnerships to prevent family separation, reunify children, and mobilize a movement of families to support children who are growing up outside of family care. She is the author of What It Takes, How I Built a $100 Million Business Against the Odds, and lives in Brooklyn with her husband and 4 daughters. So for my viewers and listeners out there, I'd like to share how I met Raegan. So she was a guest speaker at a summit held by Hey Mama, and Hey Mama is essentially a badass league of mom bosses. We have members like Rebecca Minkoff, Melissa Benichet of Baked by Melissa, Ali Webb, the founder of Dry Bar, are a few members on Hey Mama. And so anyway, so Raegan was giving an intimate talk, a breakout session at this summit. And she was incredible. She shared her entrepreneurial and her motherhood journey. And I think what I remembered most was how honest and raw and witty you are. I was too nervous to come up to you after the session. I didn't want to bombard you. And so instead, I just sent you an email thank you note. And I was so touched when I got an email back from you. And we got on the phone and we were just gabbing as though we were girlfriends. And I love how humble you are. I guess let's start from the beginning. Take us back to your childhood. What was it like growing up in Australia?
I had a pretty fabulous childhood. My parents didn't have a lot of money. They were very working class, but I don't ever really remember wanting for anything. You know, my brother and sister and I played sports. We had lots of friends. We were always together as a family. I would say I had a pretty fabulous childhood, actually.
Nice. So in your book, you share that in your 20s, you worked at a bar in Santorini to fund your backpacking trip through Europe.
I did.
How awesome is that? Have you always walked off the beaten path?
I have always done what I've wanted to do, despite it not always being considered probably the right thing to do. For the most part, I think I've gotten it right.
So you take pride in the fact that you're an ordinary woman. You say no B-school grooming or Ivy League degree, and you've seen monumental success. So many women can identify with your story, and we find you to be an inspiration. So you started your career in sales. You had this disparaging boss, and you found this newfound passion in your side hustle.
After I was sort of done gallivanting around Europe and having that fun, I came back to Australia and fell into sales, which is I worked for a pharmaceutical company, Schwarzkopf, the hair care company, did lots of different things in sales. And then when I moved to New York in 1997, I didn't have a visa, and a friend of mine got me a job in a conference company, actually selling sponsorship on conferences, and they sponsored my visa, and that was how I ended up being able to work legally in the States.
Yeah.
And I was with that company for about a year, and then I moved to The Economist, where I spent 10 years working before I started Aden and Anais. And I did start Aden and Anais whilst I was still working full-time at The Economist. And yes, I did have a number of bosses throughout that 10-year period where they just for whatever reason didn't think I was capable of doing any more than the sort of basic sales role that I was doing, despite the fact that I kind of felt that I could.
Yeah.
But it was obvious there was no real advancement opportunities for me at The Economist. And I'm very grateful for that now in hindsight, because it was the frustration of that which also, I think, motivated me to actually dive in the deep end and start my own business, which ended up being Aden and Anais.
Yes, absolutely. When did you have your aha moment? And, how did Aden and Anais?
Well, it was really when I had Anais.
Okay.
Because I went looking for these muslin blankets that were very common back home in Australia. And I was genuinely shocked that they didn't exist here. Not only did they not exist here, no one had ever heard of them, no one understood what I was talking about.
Right.
So I ended up getting my sister to send me the Australian version so that I had them when I had Anais. And then once I started to use them with Anais, I realised how indispensable they were, and I thought, how can every Aussie have this wrong? And I'm sure if I introduced it to American parents, they would feel the same way. And that was really how it all got started.
Wow. So it was literally you and a friend, right, who had Aden?
I had a business partner, that's Aiden's mum, Claudia. Yes. So we started the business together, but she decided not to stay involved, and we had a very unfortunate parting of ways in 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But when you came up with the concept, what made you just take this huge risk and say, we're going to go into business together and do this and source the right materials and really create a niche for ourselves in this market?
It wasn't like I strategically went, Claudia should be my business partner. It was the fact that she lived in LA and we were very good friends, and I used to stop on my way back from Australia and stay with her so I could break the trip up when Anais was a tiny baby. And we just happened to be together when the moment hit us that sort of went, where we sort of went, we should really do this. And Claudia actually said, well, why don't we just become a distributor for the people who are already making them in Australia? And I said, well, no, why would you do that? Because at the end of the day, it's a piece of cotton fabric, and I'm sure we can work it out. How hard could it be? It ended up being very hard, but we worked it out.
Yeah. Can you walk us through a little bit of the supply chain, how you source the best materials and, just kind of set your brand apart?
It took a long time to find a manufacturer. And when we did, there was a lot of back and forth, trial and error to get the product right. And given I didn't have any technical experience with textiles, it was really just, no, that's not soft enough. No, that's not a tight enough weave. No, and it was really just that back and forth until it got to the point where I was comfortable with the quality of the product to actually go to market with it.
But I think what's so unique about your brand is that you've kept the pricing so competitive, and so a first-time mom in Middle America can buy an aden and anais, and so does Kate Middleton.
Right.
So that's amazing. How did you kind of really zero in on what that perfect price point was, and make it kind of aspirational?
Our intent was to never make this a high-end product, a celebrity-driven brand. That all sort of happened by mistake, really.
Okay.
A great mistake, but it happened by mistake.
Fortuitous.
So, but when we initially set out to build the brand and introduce the product to the market, we wanted the 4 blankets to be $40. So we wanted to actually keep it under the $40 mark.
Okay.
$39.95 was we did everything we could, but it just didn't work in terms of margin that we needed to be able to run a viable business.
Right.
So when we first went on to the market, the 4-pack was $44. So I just felt $11 a blanket was still a pretty reasonable price.
Yes.
It was a conscious choice to make the product as affordable as we could, because I really, really believed that muslin was the only thing you should be wrapping your baby in. And I also knew as a mum myself that you needed a lot of these blankets, used them for so many different things. So I really wanted them to be affordable and accessible to as many mums as we could possibly make them affordable to.
Becoming a new parent, we have sleepless nights as it is. That's something you sign up for. But you had this business on the side. So did you just kind of run on an empty tank? How did you do it?
I really did. I slept no more than 4 hours a night for a couple of years, which I don't recommend. But I did that consciously because I didn't want to leave my day job, because the money that I was making at my day job was important to my family.
Right.
And I also didn't want to put stress on a startup business, in that I didn't want to be desperately trying to be able to get money out of it. I wanted to be able to put all the money that we made back into the business for as long as possible. And so I think it was the fact that it was a conscious decision on my part to choose sleep deprivation over any kind of financial pressure, both for my family and the business, that I just didn't really complain about it. It was really hard. I don't recommend it, but it was a conscious choice on my part, so I just kind of got on with it.
My goodness, that's really, really inspiring. And so it was only
stupid.
Yeah.
Like, depending on which way you look at it.
Sure. But it was only when you hit the $1 million mark that you thought, okay, this is going to be my full-time gig.
Right.
Why is that?
So I had read a statistic that only 2% of all women-owned businesses ever get to $1 million in revenue. So I personally set that as my goal, that if and when I did that, I would allow myself to leave the day job and focus on aden and anais full-time, because at that point I will have accomplished something that statistically most others don't.
So from 2000 to 2017, women-owned businesses have grown 114% compared to a 44% increase among all businesses. Women make up to 40% of entrepreneurs in the U.S., and women of color have grown 4 times that rate at 467%. Despite this level of growth, like you mentioned, women-owned firms have only received 2% of VC funding, and 75% of those firms won't reach $50K in revenue, and nearly half won't even make $10K. So why do you think this disparity exists in the first place? Why are we literally fighting against the odds?
I still think that there is a stigma around women and women business owners from a funding and everything standpoint, which is why it's so wonderful that there are now a lot of women who are creating their own funds specifically to support women entrepreneurs. So that's a wonderful thing, but we've still got a long way to go. And I think the statistics are a little bit skewed in that, and I talk about this in the book, that a lot of women choose to start their own business not to build $100 million global business, but to afford themselves some flexibility in their workforce. Because unfortunately, that's also a very big and real problem, that we don't have flexibility as women when we decide to start a family and we're working in corporate roles. And a lot of women don't leave because they want to, they leave because they feel they have to, to be able to juggle being a mum and earn an income.
Right, exactly.
So a lot of women start their businesses for that, which is why, which is more a freelance kind of situation, and their intent is to never scale and to never, you know, look for major capital investments and things like that. So I would love to see a lot more women realise that they can scale a business and be a mum. I'm living proof of that.
Right.
But it is very much a personal choice. And I do think that the numbers, because a lot of freelanced businesses get lumped in with businesses like mine just because a woman starts it, and that does skew statistically the numbers.
Yes, that makes sense. I think that, you know, we are often faced with this trade-off, you know, and with, you know, as working women, when you have a child, you have to factor in childcare. And so many women decide, you know what, my earning capacity with the childcare, let me just like walk away from my job and, you know,
look, I worked for
child.
many years for free because I have 4 children, so I need a lot of help. You know, it's hard enough for their mum to manage 4 of them. So I was not going to just dump that onto somebody else. So I had 2 people helping me with my girls, and so I literally worked for free. And but that again was a conscious decision because I had a bigger plan, and I knew that eventually the tables would tip in terms of the money that I was bringing in as opposed to what I had to pay for good childcare for my girls.
Right, absolutely. So tell us about your village. Who was in your village that was helping you?
There is no way I could have built my business had I not been married to the type of man that I was married to in Marcos. So I have to give him a shout out.
Yes.
And then obviously I also had, because all my family's in Australia, I had no family to lean on here. So I had 2 people that worked for me, and Ramona, our real like nanny. She's been with us for 12 years now. So my youngest children don't even know life without Ramona in it. So again, it was only that I was so comfortable that my girls were being taken care of the right way that it enabled me to be able to do what I did. So it's impossible to do what I did without a whole lot of help and support. It's just impossible.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And what about the team that you created at Aden and Anais? I feel like you surround yourself with really good people, reliable people. How do you advise a woman who's, you know, got entrepreneurial aspirations to do that?
Well, for me, especially initially, it was super important to me that I really liked the people that were coming into the company, because you spend a hell of a lot of time with those people when you're building a business from effectively the ground up.
Right.
So the qualities that I looked for in people, especially in the early stages of Aden and Anais, were they had to be smart.
Right.
They didn't necessarily have to be skilled in a specific area. Actually, for the most part, the first sort of dozen employees wore multiple hats. They weren't really specialised in anything. They just did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
They had to have a really good work ethic. They had to have a sense of humour.
Okay, great.
And they had to have humility.
Yes.
So I looked for more human traits than I did business and professional successes and experience. And I really do attribute the incredible growth and success of Aden and anais in no small part to the fact that they were the type of people that I brought in very early on to build the business with me.
There's a quote that I'd like to share by Denzel Washington. He said, at the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about what you've done with those accomplishments. It's about who you've lifted up and who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. So if you can talk about Hopeland.
Super, super proud of my involvement in that, and in awe of Deborah Lee Furness and Nick Evans, the two people who founded it. Mm-hmm. And children, babies, very family, very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about that. Mm-hmm. So this is a wonderful not-for-profit that was started to try and reunite families, because I think statistically, and I'm going to get in trouble if I get this wrong, but about 80% of all orphans in the world have a living parent or relative. And the fact is that these orphans get put into orphanages, not because there isn't anyone to take care of them, it's because they don't have the means to take care of them. And these people think that it's a better option to have their children sent to an orphanage than it is to try and raise them in there. So we're trying to change that dynamic and keep families together where we can, and in a situation where that's just not possible, find another family unit that makes sense for that child to be raised in.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges and the pitfalls that you faced, and how did you get back up?
The biggest challenge, I think, was time and the juggling, which is a very real thing for all mums, right? Whether it's your own business or you're a working mum, trying to find the time to dedicate to your family and your career is tough.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a challenge, because there's only 24 hours in the day and one of you, so you need to kind of make peace with that and do the best you can within those confines. So from a purely business perspective, it was access to capital or lack thereof. We couldn't keep up with the demand because we just didn't have enough money to keep up with the demand and scale. So working capital was a huge issue in the business for many number of years, which I think is safe to say a very common thing for a lot of entrepreneurs and startup companies.
Sure.
But I'd say from a personal standpoint, it was the juggling and the time management, and from a business standpoint, probably the biggest issue, the hardest challenge was access to capital, and then especially as we scaled, being able to find the right people to be involved in the business, because one thing I know for sure, it is all about the people you employ at the end of the day. You can have the greatest business, the greatest product, the greatest strategy, the greatest processes, the most money, but if you don't have the right people in the chairs, you will fail. Yes. I truly believe that.
Wow.
So as we got bigger, it definitely got hard to continue to hire people that were of the caliber that the people were that came into the business in the very early stages.
Right. And what was it like kind of taking it from a homegrown business to working with all these mass retailers and distributors? Success
is also driven a little bit by a series of serendipitous moments and luck, right? So the buyer at the time for Target happened to be a mum who loved the Aden anais product, had used the boutique version of the product, and reached out and said, hey, we would be interested in looking at it for our stores. And so that was really that's how I ended up in Target. But prior to that, I had also started to receive feedback from mums that the product was expensive. Now, I thought $11 a blanket was but for a lot of mums, that $44 is a lot of money. So again, I felt so strongly about muslin and the fact that every mum should have it for their babies, that I then went about creating a product that I could sell for less than $44.
Okay.
But that I still was proud to have the Aden and anais brand on. So that's how the diffusion range that you now find in Target and Bye Bye Baby and when Babies R Us was still around, Babies R Us, that's really how that got started. It wasn't about, oh, how do I canvass every store out there, which, to be clear, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But the real motivation for the diffusion range was the fact that I was getting feedback from mums that the product was expensive and they loved it, but
yeah, and you paid heed to that, which is great. And what about Behemoth, Amazon?
Oh, well, when I started Aden and anais, Amazon didn't run the world.
Right.
So that's happened since then. And yes, the retail landscape is night and day compared to when we started Aden and anais 12 years ago. And that is in no small part due to Amazon.
Right.
And, but I get questions from other entrepreneurs starting business and Amazon always comes up, and my opinion on that is you'll never beat them.
Yeah.
You can't beat Amazon. So you have to find a way to join them.
Right.
Which is what we did at Aden and anais.
Yeah, no, that's smart. Okay, so how has, entrepreneurship kind of changed you?
I think I was always an entrepreneur when I look back. I just didn't define it as that, but I always sort of wanted to be the master of my own destiny and do my own thing. But changed me, actually, I don't think it's changed me that much at all, to tell you the truth. I was at a wedding, actually, fabulous story, our first Aden and anais wedding. So these two people met at Aden and anais and they got married on Saturday night, so that I felt like a proud mum.
Yes, yeah. And then they'll be using your products when they have their
kids. Yes, exactly. It's gone full circle, really full circle.
Right.
So, and I was there with some people that I'd worked with at The Economist who have known me for now 18 years, so knew me before Aden and anais and through Aden and anais and now after Aden and anais.
Right.
And this particular friend, Scott, said, you're exactly the same. No, you're exactly the same Raegan as I met 17 years ago at The Economist as you. So I guess that was a long way of saying I don't think it's really changed me at all.
Oh, wow. I love that. What about motherhood? How has motherhood changed you?
Oh, that's changed me. Actually, I'd go as far as to say motherhood saved me, not just changed me. The girls gave me purpose. It was like I was instantly cured of any me drama once I had an A. And, at the end of the day, as much as I need to fill me up, and I absolutely do, which is why I work and why I continue to work and why I went to work despite the fact that I was doing it for free while I was paying for childcare.
Right.
Because I need that for me.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, my core is all about being a great mum for those girls. And I guess the verdict's still out on that because they're still young, so we'll see.
Tell us about your 4 girls. Was it like Little Women?
Well, they're feisty, man. They make me look like a shrinking violet, but which is a wonderful thing for a mum to know that they're going to be no one's going to be messing with the Moya-Jones girls, but it makes for hard parenting.
Okay.
So, but they're, I'm most proud of the girls out of any of my accomplishments, and still I get more joy out of other parents telling me what kind, considerate, well-mannered children they are. Yeah. I get more joy out of that than, securing $1 million target end cap.
Oh my goodness.
So
absolutely.
They are my, North Star for sure.
Yeah.
But they're challenging. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and anybody who has most people who have teenage daughters know that that's a minefield. You never know who you're going to get that day.
What are their age groups again? I mean, their ages?
They're 15, 13, 11 and 9.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm right in the thick of it.
Yes,
So
yes.
all very different girls, but all strong and kind of heart. And so they're going to be fine, despite the fact that they're going through, 2 of them at least are going through that crazy teenage. I laugh at them because, you know, they'll be in a moment and upset about something. And it's like, oh, look, it's going to be okay. And they go, you don't understand. I go, oh, yeah, because I've never been a 15-year-old girl before. Of course. How could I understand?
Yeah.
No, I just came into the world 50. Like, you know, it's like...
oh my goodness.
But yeah, so they're good girls. We're very lucky.
Oh, well, they have a great mom. Yeah, I guess if you could just describe to us what to expect, because this podcast is, you know, geared to a lot of first-time moms. I mean, like myself, I feel like I'm in the thick of it. I have 2-year-old twins and a 10-month-old.
Twins, my goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just thrown into the deep end, and I feel like I've grown and learned so much at the same pace that they're growing and surprising me every day. And it's tough. I mean, the sleep deprivation, so humbling to hear you say that you powered through that while, you know, dealing with...
I wouldn't say powered through. There were many fetal position moments, trust me. It was not pretty to watch. Sleep deprivation, people need to remember, is a form of torture. They use sleep deprivation as a form of torture.
Right, yeah.
That's real.
Yes,
you know, if you can get a good night's sleep, you can deal with pretty much anything.
Exactly.
If you are sleep deprived, the smallest things can turn into the biggest issue.
Yes.
And that's what we face as mums, and that's really hard. And, you know, it's what most of us go through.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. So those are kind of the challenges that I'm facing now. I can't wait to get over this hump. But, yeah, what are some things to kind of look forward to, watch out for when we do have, you know, preteens and teens?
So for me, a huge milestone was when they got to an age where you didn't have to constantly be watching them, or they could fall off a terrace or down a flight of stairs, and 2, you're well in, and that is tiring because you're running around after them. You can't relax.
Yeah.
So once they all get to the age of about 5 or 6, when you're not in that constant, oh my gosh, are they going to injure or worse, kill themselves because they don't understand danger in that respect.
Exactly.
That's a huge milestone where you can actually sit with your friends and have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or whatever it is you do, and you're not constantly on edge about them injuring themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got a few more years to get to that. And then it's pretty good. They still, and I'm talking from my personal experience.
Yeah.
I know everyone's different, because I do have friends who have teenage daughters who just are perfect and don't give them any grief. So I feel like they did something in a past life to deserve that. So when the kids are little, it's basic needs, right? They need you. As long as they're being loved and fed, and you're making sure they don't kill themselves, you're a good mum, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm finding it much more stressful. And in a sense, it's good that the thick of aden and anais is past me, because I find the girls now that they're preteens and teenagers need me more than they did when they were little.
Right.
Because now the emotional component comes in, and that is tough to navigate at times.
Yeah, no, I can imagine so. What's it like raising your girls in a generation where there's social media and I mean, no one's used to it, and you're in this completely new paradigm, and you're trying to figure things out. So
well, and again, I'll probably get in trouble for this. I think social media is literally sucking at the soul of our society.
Yeah.
I dislike it on a level that's not. I was told when I started the book that I had to start an Instagram page. It's ridiculous. Why do people need to know and I feel for entrepreneurs now in this social media madness that back when I started my business, it was just enough for me to work hard on my business in the background. I didn't have to be for want of a better word, celebrity whilst I was doing it. I could just build a fabulous business and I didn't need to be out there promoting me as well as that.
Yeah.
I look at especially the women who are starting businesses now, and the fact that the Instagram and social media component is as much work as the actual building of the business.
Absolutely.
I just don't know how they do it.
Yeah, and it's a popularity contest at the end of the day. Someone can instantly look at the numbers, whether it's a quality or not a quality product.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just one more element to deal with.
Yes, and a whole other level of stress, right? And for the most part, I call bullshit, right? Because it's all curated and it's not, I know for a fact, I look at my friends' Instagram and I know what's really going on in their life. And I'm like, oh, that looks idyllic, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, and I just don't, I think it's putting unnecessary pressure on us all.
Yeah.
And that's to go back to your initial question. That's what I constantly try and tell my girls. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. Don't hold yourself up to that.
Right.
And I don't like that it's so easy for them to access too much information. Their little brains aren't ready to process the stuff that they can get access to now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely tough. But as I said, I'm constantly saying to the girls, it's not real. It's all a load of rubbish. Those people don't look like that. That is not their life. It's all curated.
Yeah.
Just do you.
Yeah.
And try and stay off it as much as you can.
Right.
And for the most part, our girls aren't mad social media. They're on it, of course, but not like some other kids I know.
Yeah. Can you share some of the sweet moments and anecdote of your family that's kind of got you?
Oh my gosh,
happy,
so
proud mom.
When I was replaced as the CEO of Aden and anais by my investors, that was a moment where the girls really stepped up for me emotionally. And they actually came the 2 blocks up the road to pick me up from the office the last day I walked out of it as the CEO when the new CEO was starting.
Okay.
And I was upset.
Yeah.
And I allowed myself to be upset for a whole 24 hours, and then I decided I was going to shake it off and get on with it. And I got different responses from the girls. Amelie Rose, the 9-year-old, well, now 9-year-old, she was 7 at the time. She said to me, Mummy, I think you're a really good person giving that man your job.
Oh, my goodness.
Wrote me a card and everything.
So sweet.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So the girls are very supportive, and I'm a very transparent mum. If I'm upset, if I'm angry, I don't believe in hiding that from the girls because life is hard.
Right. And
wrapping them in cotton wool, making them believe everything is all great all the time is not going to help them in the long run. So when I'm upset or stressed or frustrated, they know.
Yeah.
And they are actually, and I've not really thought, but they are extremely supportive when they can see that I'm struggling with stuff. And to be clear for all the mums out there, I don't put my stuff on my children. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But, if I'm having a really bad day and they'll say to me, are you okay, Mummy? Oh. And my response to that is yes, sometimes grown-ups have stuff go on that is hard or upsetting, and I'm going to be 100% fine, but today I just don't feel great.
Right. That's so sweet that even a 7-year-old can show that level of empathy and compassion.
They're good girls.
Yeah, that's really touching.
Kind hearts, as I said.
Right. Yeah, I don't think, what parent wants anything else?
Yes, that's all that matters.
That's a really wonderful legacy to leave.
Which is, again, what I say to them with the whole social media thing.
Right.
It's about what's in your heart, not what this looks like. Be a good person and you'll be fine.
Parenting is exhausting, and honestly, after a long day, many of us feel like we need a hard drink. Is that what led you to moonshine?
Well, Well, here's the irony. I'm not a liquor drinker.
Okay.
I'm a champagne and wine girl. But the moonshine, there are more similarities to the St. Luna moonshine and muslin than people would think off the top of their head.
Yeah.
Basically, we saw an opportunity in an under, I don't want to say developed, but in a category within a much bigger industry, which is the liquor industry, that there wasn't a lot of innovation going on in.
Right.
And so we just saw an opportunity to disrupt that with a premium sipping moonshine, which is not what moonshine is normally used for. It's normally used to just get people drunk really quickly.
Yeah.
But we wanted to elevate the moonshine experience and introduce it to a whole new audience and a whole new customer. So we've gone after the 5-star restaurants and bars, and we're currently served in Jean-Georges and we're employees only in New York City, and so we've just come at it from a different perspective. But it's a good thing that I'm now in the moonshine business and not in the champagne business, because if I was in the champagne business, I'd be drinking all the profits.
Right.
Nothing would ever get to market. So, but St. Luna's only been on the market for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
So it's very, very new. But so far, so good. People are responding to it.
Yes.
So it's a great thing.
That's amazing. Tell us about this story. There's a little serendipity in that too, where you found someone who is kind of pivotal in this.
It's a great story. It's a long story, so I'll try and give you the Cliff Note version.
Sure.
I had to go down to our factory in Memphis to try, and we couldn't get the fragrance right on our skincare range for Aden and Anais. And so I called the factory and I just said, you know what, I'm just going to come down there and sit in the factory till we get this right. And about 3 months prior to that happening, my business partner, David, in St. Luna, and he came to me and said, hey, I've got a new idea for another business. We should do moonshine, to which I said, you're a mental person. Yeah. But I eventually clearly got there, because here I am, the co-founder of a moonshine company.
Wow.
And I said to him, look, we can elevate it, but we don't even know how to make shitty moonshine, let alone the best moonshine anyone's ever drunk.
Sure.
So there's a huge, big leap
learning
there.
curve, yeah.
And so he said, but you're open to it. I said, yes, I guess, where I'm open to it. So fast forward 3 months later, I'm down in Memphis in the factory working on our fragrance for our soaps and shampoos and everything. And I start talking to the guy down there who's running the project for Aden and Anais. And I was there for a couple of days, so we ended up chatting a lot. And I said to him, so what exactly are you, that you make soap?
Right.
And he said, I'm actually a chemical engineer.
Okay.
And I went, I said, I'm married to an engineer. He's an electronic engineer, though. And I said, but my brother and sister-in-law are chemical engineers, but they're in the petroleum industry. They live in Kuwait, actually.
Okay.
And I said, so soap? I said, that's interesting. I said, so what? Was soap a passion? And he laughed. He said, no, Raegan, soap is not my passion. Soap is my day job. Moonshine is my passion. So it was a universe moment, slap upside the head.
Yes.
I kind of looked around for hidden cameras.
Right, angels singing.
Absolutely. And now Scott is our distiller, and it turned out that he had been perfecting this particular moonshine recipe for over a decade.
Oh my
goodness. And just
goodness.
didn't sort of ever take it to the next stage of getting it out on the market.
Yeah.
So we did that, and here we are with St. Luna.
Wow.
So and he has made an incredible liquor, because we've already won 2 silver and a gold medal in World Spirit competitions and everything.
Incredible.
So it's the real deal. It's a great drink.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to try.
Yeah.
No longer
Should have bought a
breastfeeding,
bottle.
so I
We could have been drinking cocktails while I was going to do that now. Any interview I go on, I'm just going to bring my own St. Luna and we can drink cocktails.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay. So somewhere in all of this journey that you've illustrated for us, you've written a book, What It Takes. And I want to just read 2 of the the testimonials and reviews that you have on it. In What It Takes, Raegan Moya-Jones shares an inspiring story for anyone who wants to change their career, play by their own rules, and build a successful business in the process. That was by Rebecca Minkoff. And a little determination, sass, Aussie grit, self-belief, and a sense of humor, and dreams come true. Congratulations on achieving enormous success, giving back, sharing the journey, and inspiring others to do the same. And most importantly, enjoying the ride. And that's by Deborah Lee Furness, the actress and founder of Hopeland, who you work with.
Who also just happens to be married to Hugh Jackman.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So tell us about the book.
Well, I got approached to write the book over 3 years ago, so it was quite the process. And my initial reaction was, no, I'm not writing a book.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I had
Like the
content
fodder,
to write a book.
Okay.
I'm very honest in the book, and I make it very clear I don't have a business background. I dropped out of university. I don't have a business degree. The way I built that business was one foot in front of the other, getting out of bed every day and just dealing with whatever it was I had to deal with and learning as I went along. I say that, and it's really true, as ridiculous as it sounds, the first probably 4 or 5 years of Aden and anais was built on common sense, hard work, and Google, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, so I just had to work it out as I went along. And so I initially said I shouldn't be writing a business book. And then my now agent said to me, but I don't want you to write a business book, here are the 10 steps. I want you to tell your story, tell it honestly. And when I thought about that, I thought, well, I really truly believe that if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I'm not special in any way. People think I am now because I've accomplished that, but if you met me 12 years ago, no one would have bet on me to build a $100 million business, I don't think. Okay. So I wrote the book in the hope of inspiring other entrepreneurs, primarily women, although some men have read the book and very much enjoyed it. And it was my hope that by reading this, anyone who's sort of on the edge about whether or not to do it because they don't have all the answers and don't know exactly what they're doing, will be inspired to sort of take their own leap, because this book is evidence that you can do it if you want it badly enough.
Yes, no, and I can vouch for that as well. I just want to keep it by my bedside and read excerpts to kind of inspire me and invigorate me.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, because it's something that I feel all moms kind of grapple with. They have a moment in time where they wonder, what's my purpose? And it could be when you're curled up on the floor, nursing and crying, and you've just kind of provided that guide that you have your purpose, and you just have to take that risk and do it.
And that's what makes me sad, because I met a lot of entrepreneurs over the last 10 years, the journey through this journey, and I can't tell you how many people come to me with their ideas and then they just don't do anything with it. And I think the biggest issue we have out there is that people have great ideas, and because they don't think they have the exact path forward and the exact experience or knowledge to actually make that a viable business, they just don't do it.
Okay, tell us what your mom sense moment. This podcast is called That's Total Mom Sense, and essentially it's like my coined term for the sixth sense that mothers have. So, did you have a moment in time that you could share with us where you trusted that mom sense of yours?
In my heart, I felt being transparent as their mum and letting them see the good and the bad was the right way to raise our girls.
Oh, wow.
And so I would say that was very much an internal decision to do that, despite the fact that I do second guess myself sometimes and say, should I be letting them see that I'm really, kicked to the floor right now and struggling. So like I said, verdict's out on whether or not that was a good or bad thing to do. I'll talk to you in 20 years, and hopefully they're not all in like expensive therapy. And
No, I doubt that. No, I think it's great to hear that vulnerability is what makes us human,
Right.
and being able to share that with your child, will allow you to establish this connection that it's like we all go through this, and it doesn't matter what age or phase or circumstance that is,
and that life is tough.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how the kids who have had everything handed to them, because there's a lot of them out there, how they're even going to cope as adults.
Yes.
I really genuinely am like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because I think back to when I was a kid and nothing was handed to us.
Right. Simpler times too.
Was simpler times, definitely.
Yeah.
But aren't you sort of curious to see how the next generation is all going to play out in terms of just keeping the world going?
It's true. No, yeah. My husband and I kind of talk about this all the time. I think when you've gone through some sort of adversity, it makes you a stronger person. It builds character. And so we're already trying to think of ways.
Just mini adversity.
It's like you've got to get over this. This hump, and then
I'll tell you
you'll learn something.
Announce at breakfast one day that once they're through college, or if they don't go to college, that they have to pay to live in your house.
Oh, yes.
That was a huge big deal at our house when I announced that to everyone. I was having a moment. I think Anais wasn't doing her homework, and I sort of, in a very grandiose, look around. This is not yours.
This
is Dad and
Mommy
mine,
and Dad,
right? You're allowed to live here because we let you live here, you know?
Right.
You have to understand that one day this is not yours anymore.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. And our 9-year-old, who again, this was a couple of years ago, this happened, so she would have been 7. She goes, wait, what do you mean? We're not going to be able to live here? I go, no, baby, you'll always be able to live here. I said, but there'll come a point in time where you have to pay to live here. It was, their heads spun around on their shoulders. They're like, what is this crazy woman talking about? But I explained to them that nothing in life is free. And while you're children, sure, it's on Dad and I, but once you're adults, it's on you. So they throw that out and see how they go when they're old enough to.
Exactly. Maybe not when they're 3, but yes, I completely subscribe to that.
Double digits, it's a good one to just drop into breakfast conversation.
Shock them a little bit.
Let's not forget our quote of the day.
What is a quote that you can share with us that you live by?
That's easy. The first quote that I put, I'm a big quote person, and the first quote that I put on our conference room wall in our Brooklyn office was, leap and the net will appear, which is a John Burroughs quote, who's an essayist, and I really believe that. I really believe that just the way I built the business is testament to it, right? I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was just confident that if I put one foot in front of the other, the net would be there if I tripped and fell. Yes.
Oh, agreed. Where can we find Aden and Anais and St. Luna and your book and everything?
So Aden and Anais, I'm sure most mums know where to find that. It's pretty much everywhere. And adenandanais.com obviously is the website. St. Luna is stlunaspirits.com. And within the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to actually buy it off our website through an online retailer called Reserve Bar. And then bars and restaurants primarily in New York City at the moment. That's our focus. And then me and the book you can just find at Raegan.Moya-Jones.com.
Wonderful. Okay. Do you have any other parting thoughts to share with our listeners?
Just it goes back to, if I can do it, you can do it. If you're sitting there going, I don't really know how to build a business, I don't really know what to do next, just one step at a time, one day at a time, and that is truly how I built Aden and Anais. And so I really believe that the message here should be, if this very average person can do it, anybody can if you're prepared to work really, really hard and you want it badly enough.
Wow. Thank you so much, Raegan. This
Pleasure.
was such a treat. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Whether you're a suburban mom listening in your Odyssey or a city mom with your earbuds in as you're on the subway, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you have any suggestions for show topics or guests who should be on That's Total Mom Sense, let me know. Write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And remember to always trust your mom sense. Stay strong, super mamas. See you next time.
That's total mom sense.